Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Paul Kucha. I'm a program coordinator on the Environmental Facilities Corporation Community Assistance Teams, and we're going to give a presentation today all about the intended use plans. We're also going to be joined by Ashley Hyde from the Department of Health when we've got segments that are going to be under her auspices. Just for some quick rules for today, we're going to go through, give the brief presentation, and then at the end, we'll have time to answer any questions that you may have. If you've got questions, feel free to post them in the chat, but we likely will not have an opportunity to get to them until we finish the presentation. All right, so today we're going to go talk a little bit about EFC, discuss how the discuss how the funds function, go through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund listing process, the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund listing process, the draft intended use plan, final intended use plan, financing application, and lastly, we'll have a time for a brief question and answer session.
Hi, my name is Christina Lee. I am a program coordinator at EFC. We're starting here as to why do you need the IUP? It provides guiding documents about why we administer the state revolving funds, also referred to as SRFs. In this slide, you'll see a visual representation of the state revolving funds. On the top, New York State receives money from the EPA annually. It is referred to as a capitalization grant. There is also a state match. In addition, we also have our bond sale proceeds and repayments. All of these buckets flow down to provide low-cost funding to wastewater and drinking water infrastructure projects and to provide lower costs through our bond repayments. The reason why it is called a revolving fund is because it's meant to continue in perpetuity. All states are required to administer the revolving fund to ensure that it is a continuous mechanism of funding for water infrastructure projects. Eligible projects. To the left, we have the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. It's administered by EFC in coordination with the State Department of Environmental Conservation, DEC. Affordable financing for communities and public authorities for sewer projects such as repairing and upgrading wastewater treatment plants, correcting combined and sanitary sewer overflows, protecting water bodies from runoff pollution. Ashley, do you want to talk about the drinking water one?
I would love to, thank you. So on the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund side, our main goal is to protect public health, and we can do that by helping communities upgrade or install water treatment facilities, or replace or install water distribution mains, develop new sources if supplies are contaminated, or construct new finished water storage tanks. Those are just a few of examples. If you have questions about whether or not your project is eligible, please feel free to reach out.
Okay, where to find the IUPs? So to the left of the screen, you'll see a screenshot of the EFC website, and to the right is the DOH website. Both are showing where the intended use plans are located on our websites. The EFC website, efc.ny.gov, provides links to the clean water and drinking water intended use plans. If you click on the drinking water intended use plan, it'll direct you to the Department of Health's website. These locations for both clean water and drinking water provide the information and links you need to register for the IUP. And we'll talk about those steps in a little more detail later. The IUP also provides how much funding is available. The IUP lists the funds available and identifies how the funds will be used. This is a little screenshot of the IUP document and how the sources and uses are displayed. How is funding allocated? The scoring criteria for clean water is located on the EFC website under the intended use plan page, which was mentioned above. And the scoring for drinking water is located in the drinking water IUP. The projects are ranked and scored based on water quality and public health impacts as described in the documents submitted by applicants. Next, where these documents are submitted. This is the project listing and update system, which we also abbreviate as the PLUS system. Before you can seek financing through the state revolving funds, you must first submit the project, you must first submit to list the project in the intended use plan through our PLUS system. This portal is used to submit information about the project you want to list on the IUP. Project listing updates are due Friday, May 30th to be included on the 26th IUP. If you have not used the PLUS system before, you will need to register for an account. And there is a register button to the right of the login box. The IUP consists of an annual list and a multi-year list. So the IUP provides a list of projects by priority. The multi-year list is a full list of projects in which applicants have expressed interest in receiving SRF financing. And the annual list is where applicants are eligible for financing assistance in the current federal fiscal year. To get on the annual list, you must have an acceptable engineering report. Eligible costs are based on documented estimates from engineering reports, plans, and specifications, and contract reports. Ashley, do you want to talk about the drinking water here?
I would, thank you. So to list a project for the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, there is a one-page PDF on DOH's website. You'll find the links available here in the slides. I will need that one-page listing form that has basic project information that can be submitted to the email, which I monitor here for the Bureau. It's design@health.ny.gov. So that will just get you on the multi-year list, as Christina just mentioned. To be on the annual list or any of the Infrastructure Improvement and Job Act lists, we would also need an engineering report. So those both can be submitted to design@health.ny.gov. And please be aware that if you are seeking lead service line funding, there is separate guidance on our website to submit for inventory and or replacement projects. We accept listing forms on a continuous basis, so they can be emailed to that email at any time during the year. If you'd like to be included in the 2026 intended use plan, we would need to receive any updates and listing forms and engineering reports for the annual list by May 30th, 2025. So we use the same deadline as the clean water folks. And just so you're aware, we sometimes do remove projects that have been stagnant on our intended use plan. If there's been no communication or activity for 4 years, they may be pulled from the multi-year list. And if we've had no communication or kind of inactive projects for projects on the annual list, those might be removed and bumped down to the multi-year list.
After all listing forms are submitted, by the listing deadline of the May 30th, 2025 date, a draft IUP is created. The tentative timeline is here, but is subject to change. The draft IUP includes lists of projects eligible for financing between October 1st through September 30th. After the draft IUP is posted, it is open for public comment for 30 days. Scoring and ranking process. Projects are scored based on the project priority score system using criteria outlined in state law. Projects are scored based on improvements and restoration of water quality, protection of water quality, and financial hardship. The project scoring criteria was recently updated to incentivize projects that bolster resiliency, mitigate the impacts of climate change, strengthen cybersecurity for public wastewater utilities, and take septic tanks out of service. And here is an example of the scoring rubric. This is available online at EFC's website as well.
On the drinking water side, as I mentioned before, our main goal is to protect public health. So our ranking criteria is based on a public health priority ranking system. The highest amount of points goes to those acute public health risks. And then the next priority goes to chronic and long-term risks in terms of drinking water. We also consider infrastructure needs. So the next slide will show a little bit more detail, but in general, there's two categories of points that we give. One for technical factors such as a maximum contaminant level or treatment technique violations, sanitary code violations, and system reliability or dependability issues. There's also a non-technical category for governmental needs, such as private wells that have contamination issues or yield issues that a water system may need to extend over to connect those private wells. And then we also look at financial need as well. If you want to scoot to the next slide. This is just a snippet of what our scoring rubric looks like. You can find the full version in our intended use plan in attachment 1. It is also written into public health law. So sections 1161, 1162, part 53 will give you the full version of this. So you can see how we award points and how many for each criteria.
After the draft IUP is finalized, we have the final intended use plan. The upcoming IUP will be for the 2026 IUP period and is effective from October 1st, 2025 to September 30th, 2026. To be notified of announcements, you can sign up for our emails at efc.ny.gov/news.
We have similar or the same dates as the clean water side. So we expect to release our intended use plan on or around October 1st. The effective date will be October 1st of this fall to September of next fall. Our IUP notices will be announced in the environmental bulletin as well. You can get notifications from them from EFC's e-blast as well. And if you like, you can check our website for once it's posted, you'll be able to find it there. Thank you.
So the clean water IUP is organized by categories. The first category, category A, are for municipalities with a population of 3,500 or less. Category B is the next increment, and then category C is for 2 million or more. In addition, we have to municipality size, there are categories for specific types of projects. Category D are for projects that meet hardship criteria, which will receive interest-free financing, and we'll talk a little bit more about hardship in the next slide. Category D1 is a subcategory of D, and those receive an additional subsidy funding through IJA, also referred to as Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and sometimes referred to as BILL. Category EC is emerging contaminants funding through IJA. And then category G is Green Innovation Grant Program funding, which application period just ended for that. So for clean water SRF hardship eligibility, municipal criteria needs to be less than 80% of the regionally adjusted MHI, or 80% to less than 100% of the regionally adjusted MHI, and poverty greater than the statewide poverty. There are alternative means as well to qualify for hardship, which include submitting an income survey, which is described in our hardship policy on our website, and ratepayer impacts.
On the drinking water side, we have a municipal population criteria to be eligible for hardship. The populations must be less than 300,000. If your service area is less than 300,000, we would just need an income survey to document that that service area is indeed less than 300,000 or serving a population of less than 300,000. I'd like to note that this municipal population threshold does not apply to the IJA lead service line funding. And next slide, please. And then we have the same affordability criteria for our hardship as the clean water side. So less than 80% of the regionally adjusted median household income, or if you're over that, we then look at the state poverty rate and compare. And we will also be using the 2023 American Community Survey data for this upcoming IUP. I'd also just like to take a quick minute to note something that intended use plan last year for the first time. Highlight that for contract funding eligibility, we need plans and specs to be approved and that contract appropriate terms and conditions and federal wage weights if you would like to be reimbursed for those contracts.
Hi everyone, so this is Gabby Smith. I'm a program coordinator on the EFC CATS team. So I'll just be going over what financing is available for eligible projects. So first we have short-term or long-term financing. Then we have different interest rates, so either market rate, subsidized, or interest-free financing. And then we have financial assistance as available. So for short-term or long-term financing, short-term refers to up to 5-year terms, and long-term financing refers to 30-year terms. And then with this financing, we just offer the different interest rates based on your projects and areas served. So for market rate interest rates, market rate financing, it's based on EFC's bond rating. And so we let communities kind of use our AAA bond rating to get that rate. And then for subsidized financing for drinking water projects, the subsidized rate is a third reduction of the market rate up to 33.13% of the market rate. And then for subsidized clean water projects, it's 50% of the market rate. So we get, and then for interest-free financing, those are projects that qualify as hardship. So the category D we talked about earlier. We do get a lot of questions about what the market rate is or was. So as of last week, it was 4.2%, but it changes super frequently as it's based on the market. So you know, we can't necessarily be held to what that rate is by the time you get in. And then for the 2025 IUP, the drinking water subsidy line was at 60 points and the clean water IUP had no subsidy line. And that's for 2025. We don't know what 2026 will look like, but that's just some perspective.
Hi, this is Paul again. I'm going to talk briefly about the EFC portal, which is used to apply for both clean water and drinking water revolving fund financing. We just want to draw your attention to our detailed walkthrough, which is posted on YouTube. We'll have the link posted for this as well, but if you just search for New York State Water Grants Application Walkthrough on EFC's YouTube channel, you can get a very in-depth video that goes through every part of the portal application. One note, the EFC portal is a separate system from the EFC Plus system, which was shown earlier for CWSR projects. So just make sure that you're logging into the correct page. Unfortunately, they're a little hard to tell apart, so just make sure you either see EFC portal or Plus and make sure you're logging into the correct page. Going through the financing application system is pretty easy to start with. You just want to make sure that you correctly select organization, organization type, application type, and perhaps most importantly, whether the project is clean or drinking water. So you need to click one more time, Jess. So these are just a set of drop-down menus. So for some reason you don't see your organization listed, please reach out to the NYS Water Grants at efc.ny.gov or use the help system later on and we can make sure that your organization gets added. This is key to also what organization type you are, but we'll make sure that's all in the system properly. So because the portal system is used for several different types of applications, changing options such as customer type will affect the options further on the application. So for example, if you select, municipality, you're going to have all the funding applications you can put in. So you can put in SRF, WIA IMG, GRG, EPG, GIGP. These are all available. However, if you had instead selected private, you can only see GIGP listed on this application. This is just something to keep an eye on. So if, for example, you're looking and you aren't seeing the funding options you would expect to see, just make sure that your organization type is correct on that. So one last thing is basically there's going to be a set of questions you're going to need to answer, and then you'll also basically have a set of requests for some of the documents that you'll need to upload. The document tab is at the very end here, so instead of being listed under the individual items, it's just at the end. All you have to do for this is make sure you select the correct document type and enter a description. So just the only other option, the most important thing that you can also do here is click the validate button. This will just do a quick check to make sure that all the requested documentation that the system is trying to look for has been updated. It is not doing a more advanced check. It's just making sure that all your documents are in place and all the questions that are supposed to be there have been properly answered. So when you upload your document, just make sure that you select the correct document type there so that the validation system is able to correctly work off of that. So for your financing application, there's a set of paperwork that does need to be uploaded. You need to have your bond resolution, a district formation document if it's applicable for this project, an engineering report, your environmental approval such as seeker or SERP, your SHPO project review determination letter, which is just from the State Historic Preservation Office if there's any special requirements for the area that the project's going to be happening in. You may have other requirements for your project, but your application cannot be submitted if any of these are missing. So make sure that all of these are submitted correctly through the project listing system. If you have any questions or want to read through the kind of slightly more in-depth information, on the left-hand side, Jessica, one more time, there's a help system, and one more time, please. You can get the specific instructions for the SRF financing application and what's required on your signature page. If you go down to the bottom, Jessica, one more time, there's also a submit a question area as well. This is an easy way just to submit a quick question for your municipality if you have any questions about the application process. At EFC, we're happy and here to help if you've got any problems, concerns, or anything that comes up while you're listing your project. And Gabby is going to talk briefly about our community assistance teams.
So if you need any assistance, please do reach out to our community assistance team, or CATS. We were established by Governor Hochul to enhance EFC's technical assistance program, and we focus on helping communities, particularly small, rural, or disadvantaged, but all, access funding for water infrastructure projects. We work alongside our partner agencies, so for example, the DOH who's on the call with us today, the DEC, the Department of State, and the Office of Homes and Community Renewal. And together we set up consultations to identify the best funding opportunities for your specific project needs. You can request a meeting with CATS through the request a meeting form on our website by email or by phone or using that little QR code on the screen. And then while you're on our website, you can be sure to sign up for EFC's email updates. So you'll receive notifications about grant announcements, webinars, events, and deadlines. So it's just making it easier to stay informed about open funding programs. And that is that. Thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar on the intended use plan and opportunities for financing. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us via email at cwsrfinfo@efc.ny.gov or design@health.ny.gov for the drinking water side. And then you can also just visit our website at efc.ny.gov for more information. So now we'll take any questions or answer any questions that have come in.
Just, can you stop the recording, please?
Oh, yes.